you remember the Gameboy Camera and Printer? This was a revolutionary piece of technology that was one of many unique accessories released for the Game Boy system back in 1998. This was during a period where Nintendo were really experimenting with their handheld consoles, not just to have unique and cool video games on them, but to have other functionalities as well. I've previously covered their attempt with the Game Boy Advance with the Game Boy Advance Video, a cartridge that was used to showcase big-budget movies and TV show episodes at the time. And this was something else I came across when I was researching unique accessories to talk about here on the channel. Today's video is dedicated to going over the history of the Game Boy Camera and Printer, what function it served, how this thing was even developed in the first place, and really, what is the quality of this thing? This thing was designed to take pictures and print them out. Pretty simple in concept. But how exactly did it work for the Game Boy system of all things? Today, let's explore the world of the Game Boy Camera and Printer. The Game Boy Camera, when it came out in 1998, was designed to be a unique attachment and feature for the Game Boy system that allowed people to take pictures using a very unique camera that fit into the Game Boy's cartridge slot. This would allow people to have just a lot of fun with the system outside of playing video games, with this camera reticle being able to take, albeit grainy, but high quality black and white photos that you would be able to save on your Game Boy system. That wasn't the only unique feature of this setup. Naturally, when you take photos, you're going to want to save them. But the Game Boy obviously didn't have the hardware to save them to a memory drive or a thumb drive or anything else. So, Nintendo also came out with the Game Boy Printer. This was something that would be attached to your Game Boy system via a link cable, and any photos that you had taken with the Game Boy camera, you would be able to electronically send to the printer, which would use burnt paper in order to print out the image on the printer. And therefore, you would tear it off, and you would have a completely new photo taken from your Game Boy system of all things. And when this was unveiled to the world, when it was marketed in magazines and newspapers and word of mouth back in the late 90s, the commercials for this thing heavily promoted this.
When it's least expected, you're elected, you're the star today. Smile, you're on Game Boy Camera. It's fun to look at yourself as other people do. How's your sense of humor? There's a rumor, laughter's on its way. Smile, you're on Game Boy Camera.
Yes, with Game Boy Camera, you can turn photography into photography.
Smile, you're on Game Boy Camera.
The camera and printer weren't just used for taking photos and being able to print them directly off your Game Boy console, but it was also used for a variety of other things. Nintendo chucked in a number of mini games that you could play. You could have your own avatar that you could customize with really cool features on there, given the fact that we're dealing with early handheld technology here. And the best part is, if you loved being able to take photos and print them out with these unique accessories, they were compatible with pretty much any Nintendo Game Boy, whether it be the original Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advanced SP, and the original. It was available on pretty much any handheld Game Boy from both the late 90s and the early 2000s when they were coming out with the handheld SPs. The fact of the matter is, this was just a really cool and unique accessory that a lot of people took advantage of. And when it was unveiled and eventually released, it received high critical acclaim from a lot of people. Granted, there were better alternatives that would come out over the years. I mean, at the end of the day, this thing was considered to be a pretty big gimmick after a while, but it was still a pretty cool piece of gaming tech that sold well and was received well by a lot of fans and gamers. And Nintendo, when they started seeing the dollar signs, there were plans in development for a sequel. Of course, this would never come to be. The Game Boy Advance printer and camera was really cool and had some amazing functions, but at the end of the day, with the changing climate of handhelds and Nintendo eventually moving on to the Nintendo DS, the idea for a sequel or a successor to the Game Boy Advance camera with better technology, higher camera lens, better quality, and all the unique features that come with upgrading a camera/printer system, they just scrapped any plans to make a successor to the Game Boy Advance camera and printer. But what this technology really does is that it shows how far Nintendo was willing to go with their awesome gaming accessories and how unique this is on the Game Boy of all consoles to even have this option. And there are some just absolutely creative things that you could do with it. And the quality, which I'll show you guys here, was absolutely impressive for a gaming console. At the end of the day, guys, this was just an absolutely awesome gaming accessory that Nintendo came out with. It carries such a legacy that so many people look fondly back on it with all the fun they had, not just with playing video games on their Game Boy, but being able to take pictures, print them out, hang out with friends, and just have a lot of fun. I mean, and that was really the whole point of this accessory. While there isn't a ton of history for it out there with its development, this video I really does hope not only explain what this thing does, the legacy that it carries, as well as showing you guys footage from back in the day where so many people just enjoyed it and have fond memories of it. I hope this video also introduced a lot of you guys to this accessory if you've never heard about it before. If you guys like what you see here and you want to go collect it for yourself for your retro gaming collection, want to research more into it, watch gameplay footage online, and kind of see more of what people have to say about it, I hope this video at the very least introduced you to the Gameboy printer and camera for the first time and made you aware of a really cool piece of gaming history that I really hope this video does act as a way to preserve it as well, because at the end of the day, the Gameboy printer and camera was a really cool idea, and I'm glad Nintendo made it. And that is all for this brief gaming accessory history video, guys. Thank you very much for checking out this video today on the Gameboy Camera and Printer. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section down below. If you've never heard of it before, if you guys enjoyed using this back in the day, if you guys have any fond memories of using it with you taking cool pictures, maybe you had like a cool trip that you went and discovered it for the first time, maybe used it on certain video games that it was compatible with. Let me know your thoughts and experiences with this tech in the comment section. I would love to see what you guys have to say, especially for those of you who did indeed use it when it released back in '98. So, but let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments, guys. If you guys did enjoy this video, give it a like. I absolutely love doing these types of videos, just going over obscure accessories and that kind of thing, rather than just reviewing games. But if you do enjoy it, give it a like. Let me know if you guys want to see more things like this in the future. And subscribe to the channel if you guys want to keep up to date with not just videos like this, but gaming reviews, collaborations, and any unique things we do here on the channel, all about gaming nostalgia. And that's all from me. And until next time, this has been Ryan from the Nostalgia Factor saying, keep on gaming.